Hey everyone, I want to talk about gaping wounds and what can happen if you don't allow your wounds to heal and to get into a place where you allow that the wound to start closing, healing, and then you eventually have a scar. But the scar is the skin from a scar is just tougher. And that's meant to protect that area that has closed up. So, I want to talk about the reality of the behavior of sharks and how it correlates to people. Years ago, if we look at sharks, they look the minute a shark attacks, whether it's its prey, blood, other sharks come around and they kind of fight for it, but that's the other sharks know when there is blood that it is feeding time. And if we correlate that to people, and I'll just go into my own trauma. When I was in the military, I went through sexual assault, rape, etc., and I had unfortunately not gone for treatment. I had not reported. There was no DNA taken, etc., and so I was left with this gaping wound. And just like sharks, certain people are predatory. And unfortunately, after my rape, because I was unresolved, I had this mental and emotional bleeding. And so that meant that other predators were drawn to me. And they knew they would be able to inflict further damage. And that's just the way it is. So after my sexual assault, I went on to marry someone who traumatized me over the course of 8 years through mental and emotional. It was torture and name calling, the B word, the C word, a whore, slut, that I was never going to be good enough. It was to keep me down, to keep me as his prey. And it's not funny to me. It's just amazing that I survived the attacks. And so I went through that relationship for 8.5 years, got this strength from strangers to say, I can't do this anymore. And asked for separation, divorce, etc. Separation went on for 2 years, and I said, I'll take the debt. You're with someone else. Unless we get divorced, you can't move on. So finally signed the paperwork, and I thought I was free. But then, since I was still unhealed, and I still had these gaping emotional and mental and physical wounds, he enlisted the help of his then girlfriend, fiance, and now wife to continue to attack me and to continue to inflict pain. They were both predatory and attacked me personally through my children. It was just, it got so bad that one of my sisters stepped in and said, stop doing this. There's something wrong here. Just let it go. I was no longer in their lives and eventually no longer in the lives of my children. So I had to eventually talk about my assault. And I eventually told, and I eventually reported and went through in-depth cognitive processing therapy at the VA. And I finally allowed my wounds to start healing. And they will never completely go away. Like I said, there's always a scab where a wound is. And it's just one of those situations where I finally had to get in for help, and I finally had to put up a wall, build a wall between myself and my ex and his wife, etc., anyone else that meant to cause me harm. And eventually it got to a better place. So I just want to let you guys know that life is too short. I have been there. I have walked this. And now I am with someone who has respect and kindness for me and would never treat me the way I have been treated in the past. But it took for me to heal and to get better, and in order to be with someone who is better. So that's all I wanted to talk about. I hope this video helps someone, and I hope that you know, as long as you wake up, you breathe, and you are able to rise you one day too can rise up and stand up and walk away from the situation, even if you have children. We'll talk about that at a later time, but I hope this video helps, and we'll talk with you soon. Bye-bye.